Ah, I see. There I am. All right, there we go. Good deal. This is a new live stream program we started a couple of days ago. Any day now, because I believe that Jesus is coming any day now. So I would be remiss if we didn't talk about that. And how do I know these things? Well, because the Bible says so. Well, the Bible was the parts that I'm quoting from today were written over 2,000, nearly 2,000 years ago, 1,900 years ago. Um, and so, what do they have to do with today? Well, in many places in the New and Old Testament, which we will see through this series of talks, is that the Bible has more to say about the last days than just about any other subject. More than about hell, more than about heaven, because people were curious to know what God's plans were for us. So he said some things, he shared some things. We're going to be in 2 Timothy chapter 3, and this portion of 2 Timothy will probably take a few sessions, a few talks, more than one. I don't know how many. This know also, chapter 3, 2 Timothy. This know also that in the last days perilous times shall come. Does anybody doubt that we're in perilous times? And we're in a godless culture. We're a minority in a godless land. Uh, we, you know, we think that killing babies is a good thing. We think that you being able to choose whether you're a man or a woman is a good thing. Biology be damned. I mean, this is nuts. You can just make up your own reality and play like it's real. But we have leaders who feel like that too. When I was younger, it's just a few kooks who thought they could make up their own reality and live in it. Usually they wound up in the state mental hospital. Now, I know because they stuck me in there one time when I was so drunk that I couldn't I couldn't conduct myself among society, so they locked me up in the state hospital in San Antonio because I was a crazy drunk. Well, they were right about that. I was crazy and I was drunk, but I wasn't mentally ill. As soon as I sobered up, I wasn't crazy anymore. But I stayed there quite a while. They called it a hospital, but there were bars on the windows and you couldn't leave unless they let you out. So sounded more like a jail to me. And of course, it was. It is a jail. Uh, San Antonio State Hospital is out on the west end of town somewhere. I don't even know if it's still there. That's where they used to stick all the crazy drunks. But used to crazy people, we would put them away where they couldn't hurt anybody else, only themselves. And then we would do the best that we could to keep them from hurting themselves. Well, it's not like that anymore. There's a meme that says, we're from the South. We don't hide our crazy. We set it out on the front porch and give it a cocktail. Well, that's what we've done. We put crazy out on the front porch and we're entertaining it and seeing what it will do next to us. The asylums are all closed. During the Reagan administration, they cut off all meaningful support to mental health. It was just not a government function, they said. Well, the result of that, 40 years later, is all these people sleeping on the street because they're too stupid to figure out how things work. It's not their fault. They're missing a piece. Having worked with homeless people all these years, and I can't tell you how many times where we've got people in off the streets, got them apartments, got them rooms, made sure they had food, and then one little thing won't click, and then they're back out on the street again because they are just some people in this world who are missing a piece. Those people need to be treated for their mental illness. Now, the mentally ill are running our society. Now, I look at TV and, you know, First, Kanye West was stealing the Grammy away or the MTV video. I can't remember. It was some award. He was stealing it away from Taylor Swift and said that she didn't really deserve it because Beyonce deserved it. That was like an early indication of our voting wars. You know, whichever side wins, the other side says that they stole it. Sometimes they do. I don't know what you can do about it if you can't prove it. Um, but that was an early indication of the attitude. But he was Kanye West then. And then he was married to Kim Kardashian. And the only reason I know who she is because uh, her picture was on all them magazines when you stand in line at the grocery store. So you could kind of figure it out. Then he found the Lord, he said, and he started preaching. And he had some big crowds come see him because Kanye West was claiming Jesus Christ. Well, apparently, Miss Kardashian didn't want to have anything to do with it, in spite of all the kids that they had together. Can't remember how many there are. I don't know, 2 or 3 or 4. I don't know. But I saw them on TV when he said he was a Christian. Now he's changed his name to Yee. He's not Kanye anymore. He's just Yee. Maybe we should call him O Ye, as in O Ye of little faith. Or O Ye foolish Galatians. Yes. Now he's just Ye. And he's saying terrible things about the Jews. You know, you need to pray for the peace of Jerusalem. God's eye is always on Jerusalem. It's all about Jerusalem. When he comes back, Christ will rule from Jerusalem with a rod of iron. But these are perilous times because we closed down all the asylums. There's no place for the crazy people to go, so now they're just in society. It doesn't really matter where crazy folks are let go or whether they're set free or whether they're incarcerated, whether they're locked up. It doesn't matter because crazy is just accepted. These are perilous times. We have people in charge, and really, I don't have any gripe because when I was a kid, I was out there with a sign going, hell no, we won't go, and hey, LBJ, how many kids did you kill today? And oink when policemen came by, you know. Well, we grew up and we started running the world. Of course, I didn't because I'm a misbegotten creature, and I was a drunk. So even though I own property and preach now, and I joke with myself the other day on election day, when I went into the polling place, and I live in a town where everybody knows me, I said, I am James L. Harris, Esquire, and I'm here to exercise my franchise. Well, I did. But I'm respectable now, but back then I wasn't respectable. I was just a spectacle. But guys like me run the world now. And this is a logical conclusion of the things we said we believed in. We wanted free love. We wanted free sex. We wanted free drugs. We wanted free health care. We didn't want anybody to tell us what to do. We didn't want organized religion. We didn't want what the establishment had for our establishment did to our parents. We didn't want any of that. We just wanted out. I'm sorry I'm moving around like this. The old arthritis is grabbing the leg, touching my age. Well, we got what we wanted. Bush the Elder was the last president who was a veteran of World War II, the Great Generation. And then we got the Clintons. And then we got Bush the Younger. And then we got Obama. And now we've just slid all the way into the ash heap because anything goes. The boomers are in control. They run things. The next generation will take over next. President Biden will probably be the last one born during World War II. And but see, this is what happens when guys like me get in charge, or like guys like I was. Guys like I was when I was young, the hippie generation. Unless we're redeemed by Christ, and unless we're guided by the Holy Spirit, then we wind up like we did here in Missouri, voting to make marijuana legal. Now, the younger me would have cheered that. But when you look at the whole legislation, it's crazy. And I never believed that Missouri would okay that, but we did. We said yes to this amendment. What it does, it was Amendment 3, and what it does is it decriminalizes, not only decriminalizes marijuana, it legalizes marijuana. Now, several years ago, we legalized medical marijuana, and you had to go to your doctor and get a prescription. Uh, I joked with people. I said, "I live in Ozark. I don't need a prescription. I can buy marijuana on any street here. From friends of the young people that I know. But I haven't had a toke in over 25 years, so I don't need one now. Now, a lot of my friends will say, Jimmy, you need a toke real bad so you can calm down. Maybe they're right in that regard. But I never thought that would happen. This is the reddest of red states. In the county I live in, it doesn't matter whether I vote or not. If I wanted to vote Democratic or Independent or Libertarian, whoever has an R by their name wins here. That's just how it is. It'll always be that way. I live in the reddest section of one of the reddest states. Uh, so I was surprised when they legalized medical marijuana. It was highly restricted, prescription only. And it was done by Republican House legislature and governor. And now we've legalized recreational marijuana. We not only decriminalized it, we legalized it, and they're going to tax it like the alcohol tax. Not only that, but if you have a nonviolent conviction for marijuana related crimes and drug charges, your record is going to be expunged. You won't have a record anymore. I find that troubling because of the plea bargain dynamic. Because probably more than half the people who are in jail right now in Missouri for what they call nonviolent drug charges or marijuana related charges, they've been pled down from other crimes. It's like they might have been charged with assault or battery or burglary or robbery or grand larceny or some other things, maybe even armed robbery. But because of plea bargaining, maybe they just got pled down to charges of possession of marijuana with intent to sell. And so, they do 6 months or a year or 18 months in jail. And then they get out on some community service. But I wonder, I wonder how many of the people we're going to let out were guilty of murder and all that stuff, other high crimes and misdemeanors, other capital crimes. We don't know because now all those records are going to be expunged. We start over at the great zero. We live in perilous times. Uh, People say, "Oh, I don't want to live in New York City because they'll kill you on the subway, they'll kill you on the street, they'll beat you up." Nobody wants to be a cop because cops are getting assassinated by criminals. We live in perilous times. In the latter days, the last days, perilous times shall come. Nothing makes sense. But it's not just in the big cities. You know, we read reports of people getting abducted and killed in the desert in New Mexico, in the deserts outside of Phoenix, in West Texas. Look at all the bodies that the Texas law enforcement are finding down on the border right now. They run across one grave and they'll dig it up and there'll be 20 bodies in it. In the last days, perilous times shall come. I've talked so long just to set this up. We're going to be talking about those perilous times. And one thing you're going to say as a critic is that, okay, Jimmy, everything that you're going to mention, we've always had perilous times. All these things have happened one way or the other, but they've never all happened at once. Never. We've never had a combination of events like we have right now. And even if you don't believe in God, and even if you don't trust the veracity of the Bible, if you're even 35 or 40 years old, you can look out your window, look out your car window, look out your office window, look at the TV or your laptop, whatever device you're getting your information from. And you will have to admit that things are not like they were when you were a kid. That things are changing, and they're changing fast, and they're not changing for the better. And everywhere you look is nothing but anger and blood and violence. You think the 60s were bad? I lived through the 60s, and the 60s were a walk in the park compared to this. Maybe MacArthur Park. MacArthur Park is melting in the dark. All the sweet cream icing flowing down. I've never understood what that song meant, but I've always liked it. Same thing about the perilous times that are going to come in the last days. Because they're here, we know we're in the last days. It has never been like this, ever. We are in perilous times. More tomorrow.